After 35 hours and having the game for, 2 weeks? Now for a little bit over 2 weeks. I have completed Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. And thank you.
Well done. Yes.
I know all of you listening at home are applauding loudly. I humbly accept your gratitude. All right. So here's the deal. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. We already recorded an entire review of this. I listened back to it, and I actually my ears a single tear fell down my face because I didn't think I did the game justice. So I showed Tyler before we started recording. I have 2 pages of notes just based off of what I want to say for this review, and it's not gonna be long. I promise. I think we're already close to the hour mark, but
yeah,
it's not gonna be that long.
Oh my God, shit.
I told you it's gonna be longer. We're good. They good. They like it. We're fine.
Okay.
Okay, so should I start with the review? Or should I start with what I think of where I think it stands in my mind?
I think you gotta start with where it stands because that's what caught me most off guard when in our last recording.
Yeah, and it's been 2-3 days, and I still firmly believe it.
You still think it?
I do. As you all know, Fire Emblem Three Houses and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild are my top 2. They are just in the pinnacle of my mind, games I've just loved and enjoyed, and I know everything about their worlds, and I know everything about Fire Emblem Three Houses. I know everything about Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Not to say I know everything about their series, but those individual games, I feel like I can go toe to toe with anybody on.
Okay.
Well.
Something strange has happened, hasn't it?
It's an abnormal occurrence.
A strange anomaly has occurred within the mind of Colby.
Something that I didn't expect to happen happened, and it was that for some reason, this game just wiggled in between those two, and is now number 2 all time for me on my list.
Xenoblade, good old Shulk time, just rocked Zelda out of its spot.
Rock's a stretch. It was a decision. It was a split decision. They went the distance. Don't worry. But everyone that's listening is probably like, how on God's green earth are you going to put a 2010 remake ahead of a transcendent
2017 masterpiece?
A literal game of the year. How are you going to do that? Well, here's how.
Okay.
I'm going to start with the story and the characters themselves. I have this written down in order, so I
don't spoil the shit out of it this time.
No, I actually don't have any spoilers written down. This is not a spoiler review.
A complete night and day difference from our last recording session.
Okay, I have to keep this in there. There is a scandalous outfit in Junks. Do not buy it. The story immediately sucked me in, and it starts. It's such a good story, and it feeds off of a fantastic villain, in my opinion.
Would you be so kind and hand over that dangerous toy you have?
As everyone knows, there's 2 Titans, the Bionis and the Mechonis, and the Mechonis are the villains throughout the game. And you actually start to as you progress, you feel for them and you understand their motives, which is not something you can say about every single villain. Because I don't know if I think you agree with me on this, but villains who their only motivations are for killing people, they don't really have any motives. You don't really find out. They're not interesting. That's not the case with this. The Mechon in this game are interesting. As you progress throughout the story, you start to find out their truths and their motives and what actually happened in that battle between the two all those years ago. And that's and the game's long, so yeah, it's gonna take you a bit, but it is fueled off of a great villain, and then once that storyline kind of dies off, you're already into it so much because of all the twists and turns that the story eventually takes. And the characters each have their own individual plot lines. There's this thing in the game called affinity, and it's basically support levels between the characters. And you can have conversations with them at these certain landmarks in the game. I just got done with one with Shulk and Ryan. And you actually get to pick answers and respond to questions and stuff. So each character has their own story. So Shulk is this wielder of the Monado, but he doesn't really know why. And you learn that throughout the game. Ryan was Shulk's protector, but now that Shulk is very much stronger than him, he kind of loses his purpose and he tries to refine that as he goes. You come across characters like you're gonna find Charlotte in Colony 6, who was the girlfriend of a Ham soldier, and her colony was ravaged by these fuckers, and she's trying to find her purpose in life, and it just goes on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the game, everybody's character comes full circle, and it's one of the few games I've played that's actually succeeded in doing that and have done it in an interesting way. And I was definitely intrigued by that, and it kept me in it. And the ending's really rewarding. I always talk about how like the game needs a good ending.
Yeah.
And when I say shedded a tear, I shedded 2 tears at the end of the Breath of the Wild ending. I had goosebumps. I think everyone gets goosebumps when Zelda says, "May I ask, do you really remember me?" And then the music plays. You're just like, ah! And then you get that secret. Yeah, and then you get that secret ending with the legends fading away. Or what do they call it?
The champions.
Yeah,
man, Breath of the Wild really is fading from your mind.
No, yeah. No, the champions, they fade away because their role has been fulfilled. And then the king's like, you know what? I'm going to bounce too. And yeah, that gave me chills as well. And that last cutscene, everyone knows. Xenoblade kind of achieves the same thing. And like, you see everyone after all the events have occurred. And
I was about to say.
I know, right? So
you're close. I thought you were close there.
But I got goosebumps there as well because again, like you just feel a sense of pride when you actually complete the game, and not every game gives you that satisfaction. So I had that somewhere, and I had that somewhere written down here. But okay, whatever. Actually, I had a thought about it, but maybe I'll think of it and come back to it. So we always do. I'm gonna start with music. I'm gonna do music and graphics next.
Okay.
The music in the open world is peaceful, and you take the time, and you're like, hold on, let me turn down the music I have playing on my phone. Let me turn this stuff up. That's what I was like anyway.
Okay.
Especially when I got to the Gower playing, like, my God, talk about a great track.
Yeah.
And when you're in battle, like, when you're in battle, the music's gripping too. Like, it makes it seem intense. The music's faster pace from what I'm used to, because Breath of the Wild's like quieter. Mario, like, I wouldn't say quieter, but it's like a little bit more energetic, but still not that. Like, this is like rock. This is like metal rock. And it's pretty, I like it a lot. I like the change of pace for me. And I was afraid that I wouldn't necessarily, because I'm used to like games where I don't know if I consider this, it is like a JRPG. I'm not really used to these types of games where you control all 3 characters at once, essentially. So that was different for me. And yeah, but I did enjoy liking it. And I read an article. The one thing that the 2010 developers of this game said that they got a chance to remedy was in the definitive edition was the graphics. And the graphics aren't that much of an improvement from the Wii, but the graphics are still really good. And again, I can look past the graphics if the gameplay is good, which leads me to my next thing. The gameplay, combat system. My advice to anybody who has the game or is thinking about it, take the time to learn the combat system. So take the time to fight the enemies out in the wild. Even if they're weaker level, just know the strengths of each of your characters, because if you can pull it off, they're very fun to do in unison. Yeah, take the time to learn the combat system. Take the time to know what Shulk's strengths are, what Ryan's, what Dunban's, and all that. Take time to know what their weaknesses are. Dunban's obvious weakness is that he only has one arm, but I mean, that happens.
Does that translate into gameplay?
No, he's still strong as shit.
He's still a badass.
Still a
okay,
beast.
Cool.
Yeah, so take time to learn the combat system. If it's new to you, be patient with it, because I really struggled at first. But by the end of it, it's really fun when you get like chain attacks and know each character's strength, because you can really body some stronger opponents if you know what you're doing. So yeah, it's story and characters, ending, music, graphics, combat system. Each character has their own story. Yeah. So
you never gave it a number score in our last episode. How'd you rate it? How you feeling on it right now? I don't remember what you gave Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem's not a 10 out of 10, obviously, but it's just my favorite because I have the most hours on it. And I'm
Yeah.
not going to get to 500 with another game probably ever, but I'm going to give it like a 9.5. 9.5 out of 10.
Very high praise.
Yeah, so eat that, you IGN. But I only knocked it down a little bit because of the because of the graphics. But again, 9.5 out of 10 is like game so far for me, best game I've played all year. So
You think it's got a shot at Game of the Year?
remasters have won game of the year, but I'm not sure. I mean, this is a weird. It's obviously a weird year, but
True.
I think it has a chance. I think it.
You think
again,
it'll get nominated? For
I think it'll
anything?
get nominated.
Like for any category, you think it'll be nominated in?
Dude, it might win Player's Choice.
You think
If
it'll
Fire
win?
Emblem
You
could-
think it'll pull a Fire Emblem?
I think well, okay, so what community do you think's bigger right now, Fire Emblem or Xenoblade?
I still think Fire Emblem's pretty big.
I think Fire Emblem's pretty big too, but like, the fans of this game love this freaking game. They love everything about it.
Oh
so
no, yeah, no, I've seen.
I think it'll get
I think
nominated.
I think that'd be a really nice sleeper pick.
I think so too. I don't know if it'll win anything, but I think it'll get a few nominations. If it got nominated for Game of the Year, I think that alone's a win. So.
That's good. Yeah.
But yeah, no, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, probably one of the biggest surprises I've had with video games. I mean, Fire Emblem was a surprise too, because I'm on the fence about that. But yeah, if you're on the fence right now, it's totally worth. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. I'm in the middle of Future Connected right now.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
The best thing I think so far that this game has shown me, it gives you a chance to play in the world in which you helped make. Which is my
through the events of the
biggest
story. Yeah.
yes, which is my biggest gripe with Breath of the Wild is like I just went through hell to save this woman and it just ends.
It just
No.
brings you right back to before it even happened.
Yes, they added on, and this is probably because it's a remake, but they added on a story to the end of the original events, and
Yeah.
it's allegedly like 10, 12 hours. I'm like 2 hours in,
Oh, shit.
but yeah, you need to. If you have that, that is definitely a selling point. Is that you are allowed to roam in the world in which you helped save, because of course there's like events that you have to do to save the
Yeah.
world. So, because in what game do you not have to save the world? So yeah, that I think's of like the three biggest selling points. That's the one I'd use. That's one I'd use for sure. On top of the story's incredible, the villain's incredible. Oh, and after you win, eventually you get to like explore the world you helped save. So I think that's really cool. So Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I'll close out by saying this. It's not worth getting an entire console for because it's a remaster. I don't think anybody should get an entire console for a remaster. But if you have a Switch, it's a must-have.
Gotcha.
I think it's a must-have if you're a dedicated Nintendo fan, and if you've played it in the past, or if this is going to be your first experience, get the game.